I'm Shannon Martin. Tonight, bullets fly in broad daylight as Toronto police respond to reports of a stolen vehicle.
Real life Grand Theft Auto. That's what it felt like. I'm glad I'm not hurt, right? So I'm glad no one else got hurt.
We'll hear from witnesses who saw it all unfold on a crowded street in the middle of the day, plus get the latest from police.
Normally by this time I have a front runner candidate, but it's anybody's game at this point.
Heading into the home stretch of Toronto's race to elect a new mayor, we check in with undecided voters. What's it going to take to get your vote?
I feel proud to be representing Canada. It is a wonderful opportunity.
Sports stars from across the country touched down in Toronto for a special send-off. They're heading to Germany to represent Canada at the Special Olympics World Games.
This is CBC Late Night News.
Thanks for joining us. It was the middle of the day in the middle of a busy neighborhood when witnesses saw a car race down the street followed by police. Two officers then opened fire at the car. Meg Roberts has more on what happened next, plus the latest from the Special Investigations Unit, which has now taken over the case.
Real life Grand Theft Auto. That's what it felt like.
Around noon, Nathan Pacheco was coming out of a building on College near Dufferin Street when he heard police shouting.
They were pointing their guns at the vehicle, and I didn't really know what to expect.
He says the driver proceeded to do a three-point turn, smashing into nearby cars, almost hitting an officer.
And that's when they fired and the guy drove off.
I had the front door open by chance, sitting on like coffee table, chilling out. I hear a car speed down the street.
That car flying up Havelock Street before coming to a stop on the sidewalk at the Bloor intersection.
I was in front of that shop over there, and a car came onto the sidewalk. It was going really fast, and two people came out. One of them came out, and they were telling the other one to hurry and then go faster and stuff.
The Special Investigations Unit says Toronto police were responding to calls about a stolen vehicle when there was some kind of interaction with two people inside. The SIU says the two officers opened fire at the car, then it took off. A 26-year-old and a 45-year-old man were later arrested. The younger man was taken to hospital with unknown injuries, though the SIU says it appears neither man was hit by bullets.
I'm glad I'm not hurt, right? So I'm glad no one else got hurt.
Some residents say it feels like a miracle no one was injured, but there are still plenty of questions about what happened.
A lot of us are just kind of wondering what's happened. You know, a lot of it's been kind of pieced together from different neighbors, what they've heard, and we're kind of just all waiting, I guess, to see what happened.
Police closing off a busy stretch of College Street, creating gridlock traffic in the area and causing a number of streetcars to sit idle. More than 9 hours after the initial police call, police still on scene. The Special Investigations Unit says it's assigned 5 investigators to the case. It's urging any witnesses to come forward, especially if they have any video or photos. Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
In other news tonight, the family of a missing 37-year-old man with Down syndrome is pleading for help tonight. He was last seen 1 month ago near his home in the area of Jane and Shepherd in Toronto. His cousin spoke to reporters today in Kitchener.
If anybody has any kind of information, nothing is too small to tell us. We just want to know that Nathan is safe, and we just want to bring him home no matter what.
Nathan had been living in Toronto for about a year after calling North Waterloo home. His family believes he's making his way back to the KW area where his father passed away last December. He's described as 4 feet 6 inches and weighs 170 pounds. He was last seen with a full beard and mustache. Now, he left his cell phone and his wallet at home. If you've seen him, you're asked to call police. Turning to the other big story this weekend, we are heading into the home stretch in Toronto's race for a new mayor. So have you decided who to vote for? Don't worry if you still have no idea. Clara Pasica spent the day speaking with the undecided, asking what will it take to lock in their vote.
Across the city, voting signs point the way to where to vote at an advanced poll, but they don't tell you who to vote for. This 91-year-old has been voting for nearly 70 years. But this time around,
I'm still sort of looking.
she's not alone.
I'm undecisive right now. As it is, I'm just reviewing the platforms and the social media to make my decision.
The indecisiveness is a new experience for this infrastructure enthusiast.
Surprisingly, I'm still undecided as to who I'm going to vote for. Normally by this time I have a front runner candidate, but it's anybody's game at this point. I really think that we need a mayor who has a good vision for where the city needs to go, but also a strong understanding of where the city is now.
Others aren't in a rush.
You got 2 weeks.
This civic engagement expert says many undecided voters can't be put into one box.
They're a lot more mixed and different than I think campaigns give them credit for. They are a mix of people who have ideological perspectives, of people who don't see things ideologically at all, mix of single issue voters and voters who might have a big mix of issues that they care about.
He says the pool of not truly decided may be even bigger because some voters may park their vote with one candidate but be willing to switch in the final hour.
The candidates who know themselves the best and have those messages that have the greatest prospect of breaking through, I think will be the ones that will gain more of that undecided vote.
It's just about those Torontonians feeling grabbed enough by a candidate to make up their minds.
Economics, affordability, and homelessness, they're important. And traffic. Traffic's a problem. We need to get this Eglinton line and all the subways happening.
So how do you think you're going to go about deciding who to vote for?
The same way I got through university, cram.
The good news for those still undecided is there's still plenty of time to lock in your choice. Advance polls run until Tuesday, and Election Day is June 26th. Clara Pasica, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, as you heard Clara say, advanced voting is on now. The City of Toronto hoping to make it as easy as possible. You can vote at any polling station you like during advanced voting. That's on until Tuesday at 7 p.m. Election Day is June 26th. On the big day, you must vote at your designated location. The polls are consistently showing Olivia Chow as the front runner. So do other candidates stand a chance of catching up? Let's bring in City Hall reporter Sean Jeffords. So, Sean, at this point, is Chow beatable?
Well, Shannon, you know, the old cliche is that 2 weeks is a lifetime in politics, and I think that really applies here. The attacks that we are probably going to see mounted and aimed at Olivia Chow over the next 2 weeks could chip away at her lead. And the reality is anything could happen. So I wouldn't say that she's unbeatable. I would say, though, that she is a formidable candidate at this point, and it's going to be really hard for those other campaigns to knock her out of first place.
Okay, so given all of that, what kind of strategies could we see emerging from Chow's camp?
Shannon, I think what we're going to see is one of two things. You know, she could try and run the traditional front-runner campaign where she hangs back, she really tries to keep a low profile, and that the point of that is to just not make any mistakes, to not blow this lead. But what is likely to happen, that analysts that I've spoken to who are watching this campaign closely say, is she may go on the offensive a little bit while trying to remain very mayoral, trying to remain positive and underscore this vision that she's been laying out over the last few weeks in the campaign of what a city would look like, what the city would look like under her leadership.
How could her competitors chip away at that lead?
Shannon, we're already starting to see this part of the campaign take shape. Mark Saunders held an event this week where on Thursday he basically framed himself as the alternative to Olivia Chow. He launched a website called stopchow.ca, and he made this call to unity, he said. That's how he labeled it, to the other campaigns to say, get behind me. I'm the second place candidate here. I'm the only one who can stop her. Now, I think the other campaigns probably are not going to take him up on that offer. They see themselves as the viable alternative to Chow. And Saunders has some problems. I mean, he's got, he was polling in second, but I think some of his support is being eaten into by Anthony Furey, who's been rising in the polls, and Brad Bradford, who's leaning a little bit right in this campaign. So it could be hard for him to break free of those other candidates. But we'll have to see. As I said right off the top there, we still have 2 weeks to go, and that's a long time in an election campaign.
All right, thanks to Sean for that. If you're keen to do some cramming and learn more about how the top 6 candidates compare on key issues from housing to transit and public safety, we've put together this interactive feature on our website. You can see some of the promises and platforms. Just head to cbc.ca/Toronto. Sophia joining us now, and the rain today, sure is welcome news for so many reasons.
Welcome rain right across the province, and if you like this, it's going to be the thing to beat this upcoming week ahead. We saw some sprinkles earlier in the day, but look at this, and you know what this is going to mean, Shannon? That fire activity in much of Western Quebec and in much of our province will hopefully be capped in the next 24 to 36 hours. Rain will continue heavy into the overnight period and into pre-dawn Monday. By Monday afternoon, it begins to clear. A bit of a dry slot for you to get out and get your golf round in parts of the southern and western portion of the province. Continues, though, in cottage country and in parts of eastern Ontario until Monday evening. And then watch this upper level low that's swirling on top of us with this cooler and cloudier pattern this week takes a second kick at the can Tuesday afternoon and evening for a little bit more wet weather. When it's all said and done in these 2 bouts of rain, we can have about 20 to 30 millimeters of rain. Places like Barrie, London, even up to North Bay could see up to 40 millimeters of rain. Not really in the hardest hit fire areas, but this is still going to help suppress that fire fight. In fact, it could be Toronto's rainiest day since April the 22nd. That's the last day we clocked in 20 millimeters of rain. In all of June, Shannon, we've only seen about 4 millimeters of rain. So we definitely need it, but I'll tell you about the cooler temperatures coming up along with this pattern in the long range.
Okay, see you shortly.
See you then.
Good pace. Are you serious?
Are you serious? The winning shot to finish off an unforgettable and nail-biter of a Canadian Open. Nick Taylor succeeded where so many have fallen short, becoming the first Canadian winner of the men's Canadian Open in decades, 69 years to be exact. Philip Lee Shannick has more on tonight's storybook ending.
Oh my goodness! Glorious and free!
A nearly 70-year wait suddenly over with an incredible 70-foot putt. Just like that, Nick Taylor became the first Canadian winner of the Canadian Open since 1954.
There's a lot of luck for that to go in the hole.
But the home country crowd and Taylor himself had to work hard for it. In true Canadian fashion, it came down to a sudden death playoff. Not just one hole, but 4. Taylor head-to-head against Englishman Tommy Fleetwood. Taylor's victory all the more remarkable for how this tournament started. Over par in the first round. Boy, did he turn it around, including shooting a course record on Saturday, but even then he needed to birdie the final 2 holes just to get into the playoff. Fighting the elements and the nerves, he matched the result of Pat Fletcher 69 years ago. David Hearn came close 7 years ago, and Mike Weir did too in 2004, losing a heartbreaker to Vijay Singh, also in a playoff.
I look up to Mike Weir, and if kids say the same thing about me, that's the biggest compliment I probably could ever get.
But today, as skies darkened and the rain fell, this time a Canadian came out on top after making the longest putt of his career, making history as national champion of his National Open. Philip Lee Shannock, CBC News.
A ceremony of remembrance honoring 8 Toronto firefighters who died in the line of duty. Family and community members, as well as colleagues from Toronto Fire Services, gathered to pay their respects at the last alarm memorial sculpture. Since 1848, a total of 327 firefighters have died on the job in Toronto. Well, it is a place where for decades kids have gone to learn and grow and appreciate the arts. But now the Cabbagetown Community Arts Centre is at risk of closing. Talia Ricci has more on its history and its plea for help.
Claire Wang has come a long way since she first attended music lessons at the Cabbagetown Community Arts Centre.
Right now I'm attending the Phil and Ellie Taylor Performance Academy, and I'm the youngest cellist in the Toronto Symphony Youth Orchestra.
But her love of music was born here, one of the longest running charities of its kind in Toronto.
everyone's so kind, but they push you and they challenge you.
The Cabbagetown Community Arts Center was founded in 1979 by local musicians who wanted to make music more accessible for low-income families.
We have a sliding scale of fees based on income, but quite frankly, nobody is turned away because of lack of funds.
But between the pandemic, less funding, and a rent hike, it's getting harder to keep its doors open. They're reaching out to the community for donations.
We really believe that music is important, is essential in children's lives, and we want to be here, to continue to be here to provide that. And the payoff, if you will, is these students become better citizens when they grow up.
Sometimes the kids wander into this place, the Cabbagetown Arts Center.
Throughout its 44-year history, thousands of children and teens have received lessons at the center in music, art, drama, and even karate.
I'm a musician myself, and I found it was a turning point in my life, discovering music and the arts, and I wanted to extend that further to the kids in the neighborhood here.
Today, it includes studios for private lessons and practice, as well as a visual arts space and a large performance area with a stage.
What do you love most about doing art? How does that make you feel?
Kinda makes me feel creative. After my classes here, I do violin. And the song we like playing is Mary Had a Little Lamb.
I hope that the kids can still come here and learn a lot of things like I did. And I really hope it stays open.
Because as Claire pursues her dream of making performing her career, this place, she says, will always be remembered as an important part of her journey.
Do you think that coming here and taking lessons inspired your passion for music? Definitely. They taught me a lot of things that I will just keep with me the rest of my life.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
A cleanup underway today along the banks of Taylor Creek Park.
Cleanups have been something that have been ongoing, and so today is a single event where we can make a lot of a difference here. This is the larger plastic that you'll tend to see on a shoreline, and we want to get to it before it starts to turn into these smaller microplastic.
It was hosted by 5 groups, including Don't Mess with the Dawn and the U of T trash team. Organizers say the goal was to tidy up all the litter from Taylor Creek before it travels along the Don River into Lake Ontario and eventually into oceans through the St. Lawrence River. Today marks the start of National Blood Donor Week. Canadian Blood Services is encouraging everyone to consider rolling up their sleeves. The organization says there is a big need for more than 100,000 new blood and plasma donors. Now, there are more than 17 million eligible in Canada, but less than 2% actually donate. National Blood Donor Week runs until June 7th. A special send-off was held in Toronto today for more than 80 athletes from across the country. They're heading to Berlin to represent Canada at the Special Olympics starting on June 17th. This is their first international competition since 2019.
Have all of our fitness testing with Team Canada before they take off to Berlin for the World Games. We had our last games canceled, so they're pretty pumped to be representing Canada on the world stage now.
I'm very excited for the experience. Yes, I am also nervous, but that's to be expected because it's the first time going somewhere that you're not familiar with in a long time. So it's awesome that I get to be on the first team back after COVID.
I feel proud to be representing Canada in rhythmic gymnastics at the Special Olympics. It is a wonderful opportunity and a once-in-a-lifetime.
We all hope we do good here and do well for our country.
They've all been training in their home provinces and their hometowns, training really hard, getting fit, getting ready, thinking about the games, and working with their local coaches to be as ready as possible to represent their country.
My last 4 years, I used to be not active. I was not there. I was saying to myself, let's get myself active again. Let's go to Berlin. So that's my new reel. Let's go Canada, go.
Let's go Canada, go. Yes, wishing them all the best. They're heading out tonight.
Oh, the excitement and the anticipation.
Yes.
We can't win it all in the weather world, though, Shannon. We finally got the rain, but we've got some colder temperatures along with it. Single digits up to the north. Haven't experienced those for a while. The mid-teens down south with a little bit of, yes, a wind chill even. But hey, we get the rain that we asked for. We talked about it earlier, right? 20 to 30 millimeters between now and midweek, maybe a little bit more after that as well. Some select lucky communities could see about 40 millimeters. Barrie, London, North Bay, it could be Toronto's rainiest single day since April the 22nd, the last day we clocked over 20 millimeters of rain. It's been a super dry May and start of June with only 4 millimeters in the last 10 days. So we need the rain, a little chilly into the overnight. Kind of feels a little bit like a late fall storm. Monday afternoon, we are struggling to get into the 20s. But yes, we have that rain, especially for the first half of the day, Monday. By Monday afternoon and evening, you're mostly clear. And then Tuesday, that rain comes in for the second half of the day. It's this upper level low just swirling on top of us, kind of setting up shop and bringing that cloudy, cool, and below seasonal sort of long range pattern. We should be about 25 this time of year, especially for places like Windsor. You're barely hitting 20 for Tuesday. But look, something interesting happens up to the north. Riding that ridge is some heat from the prairies in Thunder Bay. You're almost 30 degrees, while we are not even at 20 in parts of the south for Tuesday. The trend continues for the rest of the week. Again, showery Monday for the first half, showery second half for Tuesday. The trend with on and off showers continues for Wednesday and for Thursday. They are not washout days by any means, but folks, have a look at this. We don't get back up into seasonal until next week. Places down to the south, you hit seasonal by midweek, but still you had that bit of a sharp U-turn with a cool down, Shannon, on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, next weekend looks nice.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for it. A lot can change still.
That's true. Thanks, Sophia. Have a great night.
You too.
That's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. But before we go, remember that 12-year-old from Ottawa making academic history?
Antea Grace Patricia Denis, cum laude.
Well, there is that history in the making. She crossed the University of Ottawa stage to accept her bachelor's degree in biomedical science. She is now the youngest person to graduate from a university in Canada. She started her degree when she was just 9. As part of it, she wrote a 40-page thesis. Congratulations. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you again soon.